Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. It is Saturday the 13th of June and last night was a fantastic night for one Celtic player. It's Alistair Johnston. Alistair Johnston, who is at the World Cup with his country, Canada, had got their first point ever, I believe, in the World Cup. Alistair Johnson said, it's actually funny, this World Cup being in Toronto, because so many of us are from around here. We grew up around here. So many camps are here too, said that Canada defender Alistair Johnston, the Celtic back who played much of his youth soccer, football, mate, it's football, in the Greater Toronto area. Going to the training ground, yeah, there was more media numbers, so it was pretty easy to keep things quiet as normal. But obviously, you come out the stadium and it's different, a lot louder and a lot more fans there. Johnson was one of the players that managed to stay on the pitch the whole match, even though Alistair Johnston did get booked. Yes, Alistair Johnston got booked within the first 10 minutes of the game with a very typical Alistair Johnston late tackle. Anyway, it was fantastic for him, and they had quite a big percentage of the ball, Canada, and Alistair Johnston done okay. Now, there was a number 6 for Bosnia playing last night that has been linked with Celtic. If you believe things online, he is already a Celtic player. I think we'll wait until we get real good confirmation before we start saying that players have signed and stuff on the channel, because if you remember the previous summer, especially the transfer window opens on Monday in Scotland. I know that it's opened a little bit earlier around Europe, but this is the summer transfer dates for the Scottish window only. It does open on Monday the 15th of June, and it closes on the 3rd of September. Other windows close on the 1st of September, and it's just like Scotland, just to just do their own thing, really, isn't it? And then the window opens back again on the 5th of January rather than the 1st of January, like it does around the rest of Europe. But you have to remember that in Scotland, the 1st and 2nd are holidays, and everyone's pretty much on a bender. Yeah, especially in the SFA and stuff like that. Nobody's going to work, are they? Nobody's going to work to do paperwork on the 1st and 2nd. Anyway, question. Still nothing about Fozzie and Maloney? No. Nothing. Nada. Let's just get to it. Martin O'Neill was in Kirkcaldy last night. Yes, Martin O'Neill had the big cup. Yes, he had the big cup in Kirkcaldy. It's probably the biggest cup that's ever been in Kirkcaldy. Yes, Celtic did have that in town with Martin O'Neill. There is Martin O'Neill getting ready for the event last night. And it was a full house in Sticks in Kirkcaldy. Sticks, which is a big pool hall and a nightclub, as you could tell by the decor and the really awful seating. On behalf of the people of Kirkcaldy, I do apologise to Martin for that terrible sofa. A lot of people said that did they go and grab that at a skip? It's yeah, I think they could have got something a little bit more elegant for the manager of Celtic to sit on. But it was a fantastic evening, by all accounts. Now, the big question is, did Martin tell us anything new? Did he tell us anything? Thomas Burns says, I wasn't impressed by the Bosnian number 6 that we've been linked with. I've got to admit, neither was I. He did an okay job in the midfield, but we'll wait and see what happens. And there is the picture of the Scottish SPFL trophy that was also on show in Kirkcaldy last night. And then there's another one of the big cup, that terrible, terrible sofa. So you're all wanting to know, did Martin O'Neill tell the fans anything? And this is the message that I got through from my brother this morning. One of them. I got a message last night from one of them. Let me just get this. He never said anything. He was talking about, he started off, these things are kind of pre-planned, and Martin knows what he's going to talk about. It's pretty much, it's like a stand-up show. You know, he has his script, he knows what he's going to talk about, and he started off talking about his days at Leicester and then coming to Celtic the first time around 20 odd years ago. Um, Martin O'Neill is a funny guy. It goes on and says, there wasn't a question and answer from the audience direct. People wrote down questions on entry for the compare to read out at the end. They were clearly vetted first. Not one question was read out about the current situation, board, or staff, or transfers. So there you go. There was not one question. My brother goes on to say, he does go on a bit when answering the questions, though. Throws a few comments in now and then. Hatate, like a little dig about Hatate. His dry sense of humour. He's always making the answers as jokes. 10-minute break for an auction was an hour. Folks spending stupid cash on signed photos, etc. Strips. Yeah, that always happens at those things. One of my brothers was sober because he was driving, so I was safe. Learned my lessons after buying that Hearts and Tosh McKinley signed printed thing for £300. Now sits in Kev's house. Yeah. Ha ha. My brother, when he gets pissed, just gives it the big I am. But he was sober last night, so he got away with it. But anyway, other than that, there's nothing to tell. Martin O'Neill didn't talk about the current situation, didn't talk about Maloney, didn't talk about Fozzie, didn't talk about next season, really. It was as you would expect with these events. You know, they're there to make their money. Fiona says, I was there last night, Baz. He was very good at speaking, very funny, but didn't give much away. Exactly, Fiona. Just what I've. Thank you for coming in and just reaffirming what my brother told me. It was, yeah, Martin O'Neill is a funny guy, you know. But these events, you know, it's pretty much similar to what he would have done down in Leicester a couple of weeks ago. It'll be the exact same format tonight, the one he's at tonight, and then it'll be the same one for the one he's in Blantyre. But it's always good to get up close and personal with the fans and well, the now permanent Celtic manager. You've got to remember that these things would have been booked in when Martin O'Neill left Celtic the first time round. He'll be like, I'm going to coin in a bit on this. Not that you would need to, but you know, see the fans, say my final goodbyes, and heaven forbid that Wilfred Nancy wasn't going to work out, and Martin O'Neill's going, fucking hell, I'm going to have to work till the summer now. He was probably planning on doing some World Cup stuff. No, he wasn't, because he was doing football stuff. Means that he didn't get invited to any of the World Cup stuff, so he thought, I'm just going to do some Celtic fan stuff. But anyway, when does Martin O'Neill ever give anything away? Never. Never. You can't ambush the manager at these things. It's disrespectful. No, but you can still get them to. There was questions put in. I know that there was questions put in and weren't read out. So yeah, it's like you said, he's not going to give anything away about the current situation at Celtic, so that it could maybe make the press, or heaven forbid, a Celtic podcast. Thank you to everyone who was asking for me last night. My brother said that there was and everyone from the Joseph Rafferty bus. It's an absolutely fantastic bus coming out of Kirkcaldy. So yeah, that is the big news this morning. There is, you know, stories about certain players that may be coming to Celtic. But I think that the big news of the night, really, the only news of the night, is that Alistair Johnston and Canada managed to get. You could tell it's the void between now and the transfer window really opening on Monday. That's when it will really start to ramp up. You may get some leakage of information about players that may sign for Celtic. But anyway, if there's a player at the World Cup, they're not going to be able to sign for Celtic until after the World Cup. Nancy didn't get a chance to settle. Players didn't want to play for him, so it comes down to their poor performance. Martin shouldn't be answering for everything going on at the club. Tell that to the press conferences on a Friday, because Wilfred Nancy wasn't given a welcome Forget about Nancy. Let's just move on. It's the way the world works, isn't it? The board aren't going to come out. The board will say that they did. You know, they put out a statement, and yeah, the club that left Lennon to do everything during the pandemic. Exactly. Exactly. A lot of members from the John Thompson Club in Carden Den. Yes, that's another cracking bus. The John Thompson bus from Carden Den. A lot of good guys on that bus as well. Was there many from the Kennaway bus and the Leaving bus? There was a lot of they boys through. Carden Den's a cracking bus. They're all mental. Just saying. The John Thompson bus. Absolutely brilliant. Martin's actually a fault. Let's not get too negative about Martin. So much for lessons learned. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I am on for a quick one this morning. I'm actually here for the live instead of watching the afternoon. There you go. Instead of watching in the afternoon. Sounds a bit Kirkcaldy-ish, that chat. It's bloody roasting. I don't know what the weather's like with you, but it's already 27 degrees here. I'm going to have to put this fan on. Just 2 seconds. Right, Brendan got the treatment as well. Let's be honest. Keep a hold of Sriracha. Well, there is a lot of people talking about the Sriracha deal. Can Celtic get that deal done? £2 million is the asking price for Sriracha. And it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a battle for Arne Engels. Sunderland have been the first club to talk about Arne Engels or to contact Celtic about the availability. I just hope that when they phone, it's Ayrshire Pata. Well, there you go. I'm not too sure what is worse, Methyl Chat or Ayrshire. Twangs. I'm only joking, mate. Is there still a Blingery bus? Jimmy Ritchie ran it. Yes, there is still a Blingery bus, Chris. You should know, Craig goes on it sometimes. Yeah, there's still a Blingery bus, and they still go to a lot of the European away games. So yeah, there's still a Blingery bus on the go. All those years, it's Blingery bus in that little part of Fife where there's more of them than us, but who cares? Anyway, let me just run through this. I think that whatever happens now, Chuchters, a lot of them, both sides. Whatever happens now, in my opinion, we should keep Arnie and build a team around him. That's not going to happen, especially with the money that's involved for Arne Engels. When you've got a player that is in Scottish football, let's face it, Celtic will have to make up the lost revenue somehow from last year. And that's all goes down for. I guarantee you that Engels is sold for over 30 million, says James. I think so. It'll be. I think he'll go for. Is he a better player than Matt O'Reilly? Is the big question, or is it the fact that he has a bigger utility? Matt O'Reilly was kind of stuck on the one side, wasn't he? And he wants to move to the EPL. Does he? Has he come out and said he wants to do it? Said that he wants to go to the EPL? I would have thought that Roma or Napoli or AC Milan would be a better league for him to go to. Not everyone wants to go to the EPL. I think that the Italian football is going to be up and coming. I know that it was all English teams that were in the later stages of Europe, but we'll wait and see. Arnie was injured when we were poor. Arnie came back, we were solid. Him and Maeda won the title for us. It's very true. These lads are career footballers. They don't want to stay long in Scotland if they can help it. But would you stay if you weren't Scottish, right? If you had the opportunity to play at the highest level possible, would you? He's got better potential. Yes, I definitely think he's got better potential than Matt O'Reilly. Alistair Johnston will look for a move if offers comes in. I'm not too sure. Because I think that Alistair Johnston, he gets us. Don't know, and It depends on the willingness of Celtic to accept offers for Alistair Johnston, and it depends on how quick that they move for Julian Araujo. Hopefully, that they would move for Julian Araujo and just go out and spend the 10 million and bring Julian Araujo back in. Angelo has been given out a membership. Thank you for that, Angelo. And Arnie would certainly take a move to the EPL over Germany. I don't think he would go back to Germany. I don't think that there are any German clubs that are interested in Arnie Engels. It's more Italian clubs. And let's face it, I think that with the amount of Scottish players that are heading to Italy and building a better career, don't know. You would think that Arnie Engels would want to try and go to a club. Look, we can say all we want. We always want our players to go to the highest possible level, but in reality, when it's a club like Nottingham Forest, no disrespect to Nottingham Forest, but you want a club that's kind of competing in the top end of Europe and the top end of the Champions League to try and come in for the players. I did say AJ did say staying for another season. New captain. Ooh. Ooh. Alistair Johnston is in the prime of his career, and if an English club came in, of course he'd move. 2-1 Korea, 1-1 Canada. And the Americans win last night as well. I'm going to talk about the football and the World Cup on the other channel because there's some breaking news this morning that's quite funny. Italian league feels like it's on the rise again. It does, doesn't it? Feels like it's coming back to what it was back in the 1990s. A little bit. If the money is right, Alistair Johnston will be gone. Over 10 million it will take over 10 million to get Alistair Johnston. If he's offered 60 plus K a week, he's gone. He gets us, yes, just an employee at the end of the day. Ooh, just an employee. If we sell Alistair Johnston, the rebuild at Celtic is way bigger. I think that Celtic would really be wanting to try and retain someone of Alistair Johnston's stature, especially going into the Champions League. We start talking about losing players like Alistair Johnston, and I think Martin O'Neill wouldn't be too happy. Forest are a massive lure EPL club with massive wages, pitting your skill against top clubs in the EPL. But I always want our players to aim higher. But anyway, we'll wait and see. Do you think we'll go for Angus Gunn in the summer? Well, there's rumours going around that we'll get Angus Gunn for free. So every chance, typical Celtic, to go for a player that's not going to cost us any money, especially when it comes to the goalkeeping department. We do have a lot of form on going for free goalkeepers, and it's not bad for us. Sinisalo cost what, just over $1 million. Just remember at the end of the month on your bank statement it says Celtic, and then it starts again, doesn't it? It's just continuous. Anyway, who's all going to Portugal? Tell me in the comments if you're going to Portugal for the game. Because if not, I'm not hanging about long this morning because it's kind of just as you were. And I don't want to really start going right into all the speculation that is online. Let's go on the land of Twitter. I mean, you can tell it's a slow news day when everyone's talking about ex-Celtic players and how good that they're doing at the World Cup. Oh, that'll annoy the Americans. That's the Bosnia. No, that was in Canada last night. The Bosnia fans on their way to the stadium singing "Free Palestine." Wonder how many political statements will be made at that during some of the games in America. Oh, I can't wait for the meltdown of that. Anyway, that is your Celtic news pretty much this morning. Still nothing about Sean Maloney. Martin O'Neill in Kirkcaldy last night. Not really telling us anything. They did have the big cup. They did have Martin O'Neill in a place that looks like Sticks is a great venue when you're absolutely smashed. But I've got to say that the sofa is a lot to be desired. Um, Anyway, don't want Angus Gunn. Sinisalo's a better keeper. Could see Alistair Johnston being captain when Carl leaves. Make some mega pennies with Brendan Rodgers. Do you think that? I don't think that Callum will leave anyway. Right, that is me done and dusted for this morning. If there's any update later on today, we will jump on. But other than that, have an absolutely fantastic weekend, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.